Good morning.
Hi, Tony.
Okay, so talking about this movie, one of the key criteria has got to be the fact that did the movie live up to all the pre-launch hype? Did it?
I think so. Look, I'm a big fan. I've been there since the beginning. I don't know what people who haven't watched the 22 films have been doing with their lives, but for the last 11 years, I've been watching them all, and I do think it does tick all the boxes for the super fans, and I mean, what, it's a week now?
Yeah.
And I think that it had a budget of around $400 million, and I think it made, what, 357 in its first weekend.
Yeah.
It's like, it was fastest to 500 million. It's just breaking records, and I think the film in every way has lived up to, except one. I do have to just mention, I know it's a bit of a spoiler, but Thor needs to work on his game.
Because Thor gets a makeover, a bit of a makeover.
He does. It's not a makeover, it's a
down.
I don't like it. I want Thor of Asgard back. That's just my personal opinion. I don't know what the other fans think.
I enjoy Thor because it made Thor a bit more human, like all of us. And when you watch the movie, you'll understand exactly what we're talking about.
We don't want to spoil anything.
The Russo brothers directed Infinity War as well, and this particular one, they attempted to bring out a little bit more emotion out of the characters. You know, there's romance, a little bit of romance, there's family. Did they manage to do that in the right way? Bring out that more, the more emotional side of the characters?
I think they do. I think they do build those little relationships, the friendships, the potential romances. They give everybody a chance to fulfill their human need for human connection, for for their emotional lives, which is something that isn't really covered as much in a lot of big action films,
Yep. We're looking at Captain Marvel at the present moment. I mean, she comes in. She's a new character in the Avengers setup as well, and she gets quite a big role because she plays quite a big part in the storyline itself.
Absolutely. I mean, she's one of the game changers in order for them to be able to save the universe, so to speak. And she is, I mean, we had her movie, which of course took us back to I think it was the 70s even, that she appeared first. So she appears in this, and she is a really impressive new character for that. So although we're at the end of the Infinity Saga, 22 films, 11 years, and I think $20 billion in the bank, ticket sales, I think that now they're saying that this is the end of the sort of phase, but I think it's far from over for what's coming next. I think there's a lot of doors open for the next sort of years.
That is very true, because how do we say this without giving away too much?
I know, it's tricky.
Two mainstay characters are affected, in terms of they're almost passing on the baton in a particular way and opening the door for new things in the future. And it's done in a clever way, isn't it?
Very clever. In fact, I think that's one of the things I like the most, is that at the end there's some storylines that appear to come to an end, some that go in different directions, and I think that it does open up, and as we were saying just now off air, there's someone in Hollywood with a humongous organogram of how the universe can expand further, and I think that there's a lot of life left in this franchise, and if you consider just how much money they just clock, I mean, we all know it is about the money and the fans, but if they weren't making the money, they wouldn't still be making the films. And we've still obviously got one more Marvel movie for this year, which is the Spider-Man Far From Home.
Very true.
So the next series starts, Well,
talking about the money, let's just focus on that a little bit. The production budget was actually $356 million, excuse me, dollars to actually make the movie. So far, they've grossed about $1.6 billion. That's just so far. We haven't even clocked two weekends yet.
Exactly.
But the key thing is, can they beat James Cameron's Avatar, which is the highest grossing movie ever in the history of movies? That grossed about $2.7 billion. You think this can outdo James Cameron?
I think so. You know why I think so is Avatar came out in 2009, and this movie was on number 5 of that list after a week, less than a week, I think earlier this week. So if you consider that that's been gathering all that money, from video and all those sales gathered together for the last, since 2009, 12, what is it? 10 years. Sorry, I had a blank. And so now this one, second weekend, I mean, I think it's just going to
You think it'll do? We'll
Absolutely kill it.
see. We'll see.
Well, let's see.
Now, this is, just for people that don't follow a lot of these Marvel movies, do you think it's critical that they watch Infinity War and maybe Captain America for them to be able to follow the storyline here? Or can you just go in and start from, if you haven't watched the movies before that?
I think no. You definitely cannot start with Endgame. I think perhaps if you've seen Infinity War, you can probably pull it off. But I would say you're right. You need to have some understanding of who Iron Man is, who Captain America is, who Captain Marvel is. I mean, there's who Thor is. I do think that if you're behind by 22 films, I wouldn't start with Endgame. I think you need to wait for the 22 movie box set that's apparently coming.
Yeah.
And then you need to take some leave.
Okay, so finally, this is pop culture at its best. Would you recommend people to go watch this movie?
Absolutely, for sure. If you're a fan and you've been following the Avengers, you got to go. In fact, I'd be pretty surprised if most superfans haven't already gone and they're now on round number 2.
Yeah, very true. I think I'm actually going to watch it again.
Yeah, me too.
To be very honest, Gail. Thank you, as always. Wonderful chatting with you. And the movie is really worth seeing. Fantastic stuff. 3 hours long, though. We warn you, but it's worth it.